Hello, everyone. Today we have a pleasure to host Pavi, who is an aerospace engineer in Sweden. Thank you for joining us today. Hello.
Hello, thank you all so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's really nice to meet you all.
Okay, so our first question for you is, very often we hear that people have always known who they want to be in the future, but usually these people find their calling much later. And what was it with you? Have you always known you wanted to connect your future with space?
Yeah, actually, for the longest time I could remember, and sometimes people who I've grown up with like to joke that I've stuck with what I said as a kid. And it was always the weirdest thing because usually little kids, they look at astronauts and they go, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut." But I still remember the first sort of career prospect I wanted to be as a kid, and I don't know, I was really little, and I said, I want to be the people with wearing those headsets, sitting in front of the computers, like talking to the astronauts, because they seem like they know what's going on. And I've sort of stuck with that for the longest time. And yeah, it's a little cliched, but I've always wanted to know I wanted to work with the space industry.
That's actually amazing. And what was your way to space like? Do you have any maybe advice for young people who are trying to find themselves in this industry?
Absolutely. So I would say mine was a very stereotypical, like do engineering and then join the space industry kind of way. I did grow up. So I grew up in Qatar where there wasn't really any established program. So I had to start with an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering. And then I went over to do a master's in aerospace engineering. But during my mechanical engineering courses, I would always sort of not bully, but I would make my professors offer, aviation or aerospace related projects because there's so much overlap. And I still remember I would go through the aerospace courses and go, oh, we do the exact same things. It's just the projects are different. So professor, could I do this as a project instead for the semester? So I sort of tried to dig my way through and get into that. But I will say, in terms of advice, now there's so many ways to work with the space industry that are not just engineering. There's also going through sciences, there's going through medicine. Now, like the legal and policy sector within the space industry is also growing. Same with business as well. So I would say now there's more opportunities to get into the space industry, but I think I did the tried and true method of just going through engineering.
Yeah, you can literally do anything you want because we
Exactly.
have so many opportunities. Okay, and could you specify what are you currently doing professionally? What does an aerospace engineer do?
Absolutely. So, while I do have my education is aerospace engineering, the opportunity that I've landed myself in is project coordination. So it's a little bit of management. Now, my actual day-to-day work sort of draws the line between project management and systems engineering. So that's where I tend to use a lot of my aerospace engineering background. And I think that's also very interesting because I think historically, most of the project managers who've come into the space industry were sort of grown in the space industry. They come in as engineers and then they go over towards management because the way product development and design happens in space is very unique. It's not like you could use stuff from other industries. So you need that engineering experience to do management. But I think lately, because of the commercial sector boom, there's a lot of people coming into the industry with just management as a background or like business administration. And that's when I've interacted with a few people going, oh gosh, having an aerospace engineering background would help. Because in day-to-day stuff, when you're trying to figure out how to go from here's a product concept or here's a design that we're trying to improve, how do you actually develop it? And you need to think about using all the technical information you've learned to understand how things perform, how to increase efficiency, and you know how stuff works. And you have to translate that into, okay, realistically, what do we do? What are our milestones? What do we need to focus on? what does the system need? What is the system requirement? So basically, professionally, I'd say it's in that gray area between systems engineering and developing space systems designs, and then taking that into an actual workable plan. Yeah.
So you studied in the US and now you're in Sweden. And could you tell us, how did you go all the way from the United States to Europe?
Absolutely. So because I'm not, well, this one's a little weird, but because I'm not a US citizen, at the time, because of a few ITAR laws, it is a little difficult to find placement right in the industry immediately. And I still remember I was at my master's thesis, I finished the presentation, got my thesis approved, and my professor offered two choices: stay and do a PhD, like continue my master's thesis, or because one of the professors on my panel was originally from France and he studied in ISAE Supérieure in Toulouse, he suggested doing an advanced master's there. And he said, it's because the commercial space industry in Europe is growing so much faster, because the policies allow you to do so. And it's a lot, not easier because it is, I would say, more competitive than the US, but at least the system does not stop talent from entering the industry. So it was either do a PhD or, move to a highly competitive industry, but have a chance to join the industry. So I moved over to France, and while I was doing my course, I was looking at companies to apply to, and Sweden was an option. And it's the north of Sweden in the Arctic Circle, and I thought, sure, why not? I'll do anything for space. And I find myself in Sweden now. That's it.
Yeah, that's amazing, really. And you work in a quite man-dominated profession, really. Did you find many obstacles, or maybe you found support and unity in there?
I want to say I really love how the question is phrased, because at the end of the day, that's sort of it, right? No matter what you face, there's probably different instances of when you're in a situation that you could feel bad being a minority. I really like the latter half of your question, because there is a lot of support that you find with the one other woman in your group, or the one other woman in your class. There's always a sense of, okay, you're going through something that's not ideal, but I've been there too, so let's just talk to each other. So even though it is very male dominated, the support community is very strong. So I would definitely say I'd like to focus on the positives, and the Space for Women network is, I think, one of the most positive groups I've been in. Despite the very competitive industry, I've never been in a Space for Women circle where people are like, oh no, I'm not going to tell you about this opportunity. It's always very open. It's, oh, I know this, are you interested? Or like, here's information, or let me help you with your application, or hey, I saw this one, it would be great for you. And I would hands down, I've talked to a few other people in different industries, the space industry's network for women is super strong and very positive.
That's great. And what could we do now to support and empower more women in the STEM industry, especially in space field?
That's a very good question. And so I do a lot of volunteer work on the side with the Space Generation Advisory Council and the Moon Village Association, which are nonprofit organizations that try to build a network. And there's a lot of governments, agencies, and organizations that are trying to focus on creating gender-specific learning material. And personally, I don't think that's the best way to go about it. I think the most ideal or most efficient way at the moment would be to create that network and just go, hey, are you looking to join the space industry? Do you know you could talk to these people? Or you're interested in becoming a space lawyer? Well, there's so many other women who are there, and having representation and that transparency that, oh, someone from my town or someone from my country or someone who did the same courses that I did, she's working in oh my God, this space agency, or she's created her own company that's doing amazing things. Can I talk to her? And, having that network where you're able to see someone who, feels like you
Yeah, that
and
sounds
go
like a perfect
do it.
environment for growth.
Yeah. And I don't want to pitch things, but personally, I found a lot of guidance with the UN-USA, so the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs, the Space for Women network, where you can sign up to be a mentor or a mentee. The guidance that you get from that is honestly something I cherish. So this
Yeah, so
just
we'll definitely put the links to these organizations which you just mentioned in the description.
absolutely. Thank you.
So what is your long-range career-related aim or maybe goal?
I've thought about this, and honestly, I know I'm staying within the industry as is. Now, personally, I think I want to be more hands-on in the private sector or the commercialization of the space industry. And I think instead of giving tangible things, my vision board is more of the let's see how much I can get involved in the process of increasing the efficiency of the commercial space sector. So how do you actually get things done on time, or at least on the time you say that it will be done? And through that process, one of my personal goals is to really work on information sharing. And that's I don't know if that counts as like a knowledge / educational goal, but I really want to be part of, or at least in the future, I want to be someone who makes sure that the space industry knowledge is not being like gate kept. No one's holding back any information, and the more the merrier. So I guess, yeah, really focus on pushing the accelerator on the commercial space industry, and also making sure that everyone can learn and join in. Like twofold vision board.
Yes, that's amazing. And your profession is very interesting. And what do you enjoy the most in your job?
Oh, I love the fact that every day there's something new to learn. Every day you have moments where it's just like, I did not know that. Like on one hand, there's a way that sometimes you listen to something and go, oh wow, I'm so stupid, I did not know this. However, you read about it. It's if you could face something that you don't know about, and every day I go to bed learning something new from like all across the board, whether it's propulsion or just system integration, or even what type of concrete is safe for like rockets, like rain safety, ground safety. It every day there's just something more to learn and know. And I think I've talked to people who've been in the industry for decades, and they say, oh, it's the same for me too. I've been learning every day nonstop, like since I've joined the space industry, and it's a very lifelong learning type of field. And I think that's really fascinating.
Well, it's great, really. And if you had met your 10 years younger self, would you have told yourself to do exactly the same, or would you rather have suggested another path?
I think about this sometimes, and I think so. Growing up, I didn't really have a mentor, which is why I was sort of like the kid let loose in a candy store. I was able to go, I want to do this project, I want to do this course, and oh, I'm supposed to take 12 credits. I'm going to take 20 credits because no one's stopping me from taking a course or studying something that I wanted to. And I think not having that direction, or not having someone tell me, oh, okay, if you want to work here, you have to do this, this, and this, sort of gave me a wider background, which is honestly working to my favor at the moment. So I think for my educational career, I would say don't do anything different, like let loose, just do whatever you want. But in terms of advice, I would say get involved earlier. Right now, there are more opportunities to get involved. I've been personally through my organizations trying to organize like design competitions or webinars or info sessions for young professionals and students, like all the way down from high school, just to get them thinking, to build up their critical thinking skills that you'd need for the space industry. And a few of them did exist when I was younger, and I just didn't know about them. And I think getting involved with these sort of global volunteer or just hobby projects is a really good way to explore and see what you like and what you enjoy doing. So definitely get involved with the global space community as soon as you can. But yeah, that would be it.
Okay, and the next question is very important for all of us because we know SpaceX, we know NASA, and all of this is in USA. And are there many job opportunities related to the space sector in Europe?
Absolutely. And I would say it's one of the fastest up and coming industries, just not only because of the amount of money that's being poured in, but in terms of what the space industry in Europe wants to do. And they want to do it pretty fast, but at least we know that there's a need for it. We've got multiple spaceports trying to open up in Europe, a bunch of commercial like launch vehicle companies are getting a lot of support and funding. And the main thing is they're like properly private sector commercial companies. They're the exact SpaceX model without sort of the US like what governmental protocol behind them. If I had to name a few, I'd say, oh gosh, there's so many. Well, SSC, my company, so Swedish Space Corporation is one. I know there's RUAG, who are also all across Europe doing amazing projects. ESA Aerospace, Rocket Factory Augsburg, High Impulse, and yeah, for some reason I'm blanking out a bit, but there's a lot of really amazing companies that are doing rapid prototyping does not cover it. That their speed is insane, and the amount of in-house knowledge that they have and that they're actively trying to cultivate is quite spectacular. And these are companies who are sponsoring students. So they're saying, you do your like bachelor's or master's thesis with us, and then we'll take you into the company. So they take care of you, they take care of what you're learning, and it's all very value driven. And because they're smaller, they're newer companies, it's a more, if you think about it timeline wise, there's a lot of established resources in the US. And while you do have the European Space Agency, which has a lot of history, these private sector companies, when they're developing, they want any and all talent. They're hiring like no tomorrow, and they're taking care of their employees, making sure that you are in the process of creating history. And the way things are going, the way the laws are being set up as well, joining the space industry in Europe is part of legacy creation. And at this period of time, like where everyone is, yeah, definitely a lot of opportunities currently available and will be available also in the next 5 years or so, with a lot to do. And again, you'll be part of like historical projects like opening up the first orbital launch capability, or opening up a first spaceport on European soil, or launching like heavy vehicles again from Europe. And yeah, the sense of community and let's all do this together is, I feel like, very high here.
Actually, we hear all the time that US is going to Mars and it's trying to build rockets. Do you think that Europe will go along here with US and land on Mars soon?
Absolutely. And now, while I don't know the exact specific details, I do want to mention, sort of in relation to my last point, the collaboration between US resources and European resources is also very strong. It's like the capability development in Europe is not only because of the in-house community and the knowledge sharing, but it's also because we've got like such a good relationship with the historical knowledge in the US, and all the collaborations and cooperation are like, hey, we're doing this. Are you interested? And it's like, okay, yeah, cool. We want to do this instead. Okay, how about, like, you know, we swap information, or if you do this for us, we could help with this. So definitely Europe's on its way to Mars, the moon, and a lot of I also know that even like the Leo satellite stuff in Europe's also taking off very fast at incredible speeds. And
Yes, these also,
sorry.
yeah, these projects are just like worldwide, not only country specifically,
Exactly,
but just
exactly.
the worldwide cooperation is amazing.
Exactly. And again, I will say I am only familiar. I'm not as familiar with you know, the Asian development within the space industry at the moment, but I always have been interested in like eyeballs deep within the US and European collaboration, and sort of the camaraderie and the repertoire that both parties have, and the respect that they have for each other. It's I think it's really commendable, and they've set it up and they continue to respect each other's progress. And yeah, it's again a very positive and nice environment to be in and sort of grow together.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Thank you for joining us today and for having this talk with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for number one doing this. Your general project is truly amazing, and I hope to see you all more. And if you don't mind as well, I'll be sharing it with my network to see if we can get other people to support your amazing cause and your amazing work.
Yeah, definitely. It will be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So bye.
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 Bye.